Record.
Hold on a second real quick.
Okay, I think we're live. Bam. So, what's up, Daylight Burners? Welcome back again. We got a guy you know very well at this point, but we're gonna do a new segment. We're gonna try to make it a weekly thing, see how it goes. But we're gonna do the first ever weekly cattle report from Loma Livestock with George Rafto. So, George, what's up, man?
Hey, man, thanks for having me on again.
You bet. You bet.
Long week.
I think we got a cool deal going with this. I think the people have spoken. They've wanted it, so we got it. We got to just let them have it.
I agree. I think it'll be cool, and at the right time now too, when there's so much changing things.
Yeah. It's well, I've noticed that we were up big a couple days, and I didn't follow. I just I listened to Corbett Wall usually in the morning. I really wish he would get on podcast form instead of just YouTube, because it's such a pain in the dick. Having to leave your screen open, and it's such a first world problem, but it's such a easy fix on his part to do a podcast form. But that's all I know. That it's just been a shitty couple of weeks in the cattle business. So I guess let's let you take us through what happened and what you think we got going on. Oh, and also tell us first about the chief sponsor of this show, Loma Livestock, and how the sale barn did this week too.
All right, man. We'll start out like you said with our market here at Loma, and we had a sale. The report, the volumes have been slow. I mean, we had 80 coal cows. We had 260 head total. Okay, on the sale, and 80 of them were kind of coal cows, and I mean they jerked the bottom out from those coal cows. Starting about Thursday or Friday last week. For 2 or 3 weeks straight, we traded those things for 62 to 68 cents on a high yielding cow, and on a bull anywhere from 92 all the way up to 98 a buck in some places. Well, this week they come our best cow gift bring 45 and the best bull is 69. Kind of showing some effects of that backup, I think, towards that restaurant trade, McKinley. Now, as the feeder cattle kind of are concerned, some interesting things happen. Of course, anything grass type weight, 550 to 650, had a kind of a really good, I'm talking when I pull my report here, but we were in the 40s with those 6 weights. And some of the heifers were right there up against it in the 30s. And sometimes the 7-weight heifers brought more than 7-weight steers.
Really?
So there is a good pair demand, good turnout to grass demand. Like I said, we're seeing it right here, and that's kind of how. And the heifers, there's a little more volume there with the heifers too. I'm trying to pull up my dang market report. Of course, it's not pulling up for me, but I will get it. But that was, and so I do think the volume probably as far as us in this region is probably going to slow down quite a bit, not only because it's the time of year, but also because with the 40-cent, 45-cent coal cow, it's hard to imagine people wanting to come in, to town with them when they have grass.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of what we're seeing here locally. Regionally around, I think you all heard probably JBS closing down. From what I see, just maybe a couple days for cleaning, JBS Greeley. Fat cattle are backing up a little bit, and that's been the scare of the market, to be quite honest. I think we were just talking about that for 6 or 7 weeks. But one big one's going down. I think we can work our way through it. Beef is kind of backing up. It's going to be interesting to see what BeefNet does next week. I mean, the middles are hard to give away. They're on multi-year lows. Ground beef kind of up towards the multi-year highs. But these
Yeah.
dairy cattle are really hitting the barn a lot too, McKinley. That's what's hurting too. Those dairy prices aren't good. So that
No, and
milk and
they're
cheese.
dumping a bunch of milk too and shit. So like, is that because they don't got trucks for them, or why is it that they're dumping milk all of a sudden?
Such a freaking dilemma. Just like you see with what's going on in the live cattle market and everything. We have a big demand for this stuff, or they're rationing at the store and they're dumping uh
Yeah.
the. I think the main thing we're looking into is we're building up supply of these commodities, and
Mm,
and then as we've built this supply, we've had really big demand on good economies. And when this coronavirus dinged, we already had big supply. So then the demand shock, and then how do we work these factories and get these things processed? Because people are going to still buy it even at the home, but we just kind of got a supply chain backlog. I don't really know the right
logistics
answer there.
problem, if you will.
Yes. And the answer is to not be so trusting. Hopefully, these regionals and local packs start picking up the pace because I think there's a beef demand at a price if we can get it to the customer, get it from
Yeah.
the producer to the customer, like you've talked about a lot. Maybe we can
Yeah.
start teaming together uh, going forward there.
Yeah, and that's one thing is anybody who's there in the cities, even if you are in a city, you're not very far from a farm. Like you don't have to go very far to find somebody who's running cattle and find out who they are, give them a holler, and I guarantee you they'd be willing to trade you a side of beef or something. It's it's people helping people. It's a beautiful thing.
And then like in LA back in the day, there was like 40 packing houses. So I'm not saying to
Yeah.
go back to then, but that kind of demand for fat cattle locally, where
Mm-hmm.
would it be even if it wasn't completely farm to table, just more of those regional packs kind of filling in this
Yeah.
void? Because
Mm-hmm.
look at the problem with all those employees standing so close now that we have this COVID-19 in our right here in our front, and then also will be in our rear view mirror for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, could we possibly change the structure that we need to lean on some smaller type companies so we can just not so dependent? That's more of a bigger picture problem. But like
Yeah.
next week, like things that I'm looking at, I mean, just kind of some off market things. My family's been involved in sheep. I'm not right now, but my cousins and uncle are. I just watched the sheep slaughter market. They backed up the sheep slaughter about 39% this week. So those lamb weights are coming up. That's a market that's kind of getting backed up right now, something to watch. The cattle
Mm.
market's getting backed up, but we've been killing so good, McKinley, up to this point that we have a little leeway. So it's just as
Yeah.
long as how long does this thing last? Um, you know, the really your best risk mitigation is how you can stretch and be creative with which marketing windows your calves will hit now. I mean, I think the hardest thing hit cattle are going to be the next 60 to 90 days. Um, Beyond that, uh, they might not be the hardest hit, but those are the ones that are in the crosshairs right now. I mean, if you got grass, you can turn out and kind of spread out your marketings a little bit. And really, that's what we hope. Mother Nature just takes care of us on the outside. I heard like
Mm.
49% of the Western states are kind of in drought. We'd like to see that change because we don't want to have to liquidate during these prices.
No, absolutely not. That'd be a tough one to come back from. That'd
That
be a real tough one.
that would be we need Mother Nature's help throughout this. And I also heard in Trump's presser today that 16 billion for ag. So that's cow calf producers. That's I don't know what it is, but he told Sonny to expedite that shit. And a lot of that
Well,
PPP, a lot of that stimulus is hitting the accounts as early as today
yeah.
on the businesses.
Yeah, and I we could get into whether or not the stimulus ever should have happened, but when the big thing that we really got to pay attention to shit is where it's going. Like you said, like 16 billion for ag. It's a 2.2 trillion dollar bill. There should be like if you're gonna spend that much money, and you're going to dole out these individual payments, which only make up the 0.2 part of the trillion is the individual payments and family payments. The rest of it's to bail out these damn airlines and banks, and we'll give the ranchers and the farmers a measly 16 billion to keep them quiet. So you got to be on your representative's ass for, first of all, for making such a huge spending bill, but then for bailing out all these fuckers that can't have a business plan that supports them during a time of crisis. Nobody can truly plan for this type of deal, but you got to have some sort of risk management within your own deal, and your risk management can't be the American fucking taxpayer. It's that's the part about this whole, whether the stimulus should have happened or not. Look at where the money's going, and
Well,
yeah, Sonny Perdue better get on his ass if he's doling out funds.
yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you on a principle conservative basis, but I think this Corona COVID did sideswipe a whole demand side like we've never seen before, and just to keep the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. And I think because in some ways they feel like as a 9/11 gap spacing, and in my opinion, you have to have this bridge, or you're looking at a terrible situation. You might look at it 10 years down the road now. We might be kicking the can. I'm not going to even
Yeah,
debate on all of that. But as just far as a relief standpoint for the next 30 days, I'm not saying it's going to be great for the market, but I'm just saying there's some relief coming to some of these businesses. You know what I mean? At least
yeah,
for a little bit to keep some. And some people are going to spend it dumb. Some people are going to spend it wisely. Um, I think it'll help the small producers actually. If you want to be honest,
mm-hmm.
I think that done right will help it. But like I said, on a lot of the things, there's a lot of debate. I'm sure that's why it was such a freaking hard thing to get passed because of
Yeah,
all the bailouts for the big corps. But I mean, I know a lot of that stuff's hit this week.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of optimistic going forward because, for all the doom and gloom, it seems like there's some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. Like people are starting to get restless, and I think you go another couple of weeks of being cooped up, and I think you're going to really start seeing people get restless. And there's only so much you can do to keep everything locked down. And so I think there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Like Rand Paul recovered from the corona. They don't report on that, but he tested negative after testing positive. So like he's good to go, and that's a good thing. It's they need to report on stuff like that. Like, hey, not everybody's gonna die from this thing, and it's okay. It is the world's gonna keep turning, and we'll get over this thing. That's,
Oh
I guess,
yeah,
more than anything, that's what everybody needs
that's
to
what.
realize.
And I agree. And I think now we just look at some of these, like it's hard to guess too far and forward because we're gonna get over this thing. We know we probably are over the hump. Maybe we're not. We're just gonna see, what we look like going into this. I'm gonna share my screen really quick on I think it's with this document here. I've never done this before, so I just wanted to do this.
Oh yeah,
But
perfect.
so this is like a daily cattle slaughter from the first of the year, and I took out
Mm-hmm.
Saturdays. So you can see like getting down to like 88,000. This is cattle and fed cattle, all everything alike. So on Friday's kill, today's kill was 88,000. They're projecting a 33,000 head Saturday kill, but we've been so high on the kill. This is our basis from April. So like that market's been as much as $16 over the futures, the cash market.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's been happening, pulling a lot of cattle into this big slaughter. And the cattle weights, see, they'd been coming down. We're over last year and above the trend, but they'd been coming down because our official weekly slaughter up into 327 was 684,000. Those are huge March numbers, biggest since 2011. So yeah, we're backing off quite a bit now, but it's just an extent of how much it, how long it lasts,
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I think I did see one thing. I did have my Loma market report right here. If you can kind of see that thing, maybe I can make it bigger, but I can't.
Yeah, I think we can see it.
So that's kind of, there's a lot of is that better? So the steers on the right, heifers on the left. As you can see, these 650 to 7 weight heifers bring 145. And I mean, they bring more than the 6.5 weight steers. I mean, these things, the heifers really sold good. The cows, a lot cheaper. I mean, the bulls, same way. I mean, just back those things up. But I mean, this is what you can kind of expect. I mean, I saw a lot of direct cattle trade 8 weights for 115 on Friday's Colorado report. This $1.90. $1 is a good trade for 9 weight right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of more or less the market. It's a little different other places, but it's been kind of similar just across the board, especially this last week. Placements are really low. People aren't placing cattle right now, and feedlots aren't taking them. There's not a huge opportunity to hedge any kind of risk,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a tough market right now. You just gotta get what you can get and try to hold out if you can. I mean, it's
be creative.
Everybody. Yeah, it's everybody wishes it was $1.80 feeder cattle again. It's just not. So you gotta
a new reality, and you gotta learn to live within that reality until something else happens. I mean, we grew up in it in times. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, and I know a lot of people older than us really remember it. But when these calf prices were cheap not too long ago, before the big blow up. Just going to have to get a whole different business model to run this way. I mean, sucks, a lot of our costs have gone up. This is not truly probably, who knows how it's going to be, but I think there's going to be shots to still keep your stuff together, maybe make a little money through this year. I think there could be good profit this year if you pick your right times to market, because expenses could be lower. I mean, fuel, heck, if they don't get a charge on this fuel deal, looks like they might run out of places to store it if they're not careful,
No shit. You're looking at, I think it was under $1, or like right at $1 a gallon in places in Texas, for unleaded. That's shit we haven't seen since high school, man.
Oh man. Like Trump was saying, 80 cents in some places, like it was back in the 50s with the big, beautiful dollar bills.
There's just some things that Trump says that it's just, I don't know what any of it means, but I fucking love it.
I know, dude. I love it. Well, I thought I got some stuff out of this deal. I mean, I think he's going to go after the World Health Organization next, which he should need to next week, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he should.
And then we got a
Uh,
bounty on Maduro's head, and they're hearing President Xi was talking to Maduro saying he was going to back him financially.
oh shit.
I mean, we got some things
Uh,
brewing.
yeah, I think so. Hey, it's a wild time to be alive, George Rafto. It is a wild time to be alive, you know it?
It is. It is. It is. It's a wild time to be alive. It is every day, every morning from 8 o'clock or from 7:30 to 12:05 in the cattle markets. It's just kind of, like riding a horse that you don't know when he's going to pitch, sometime,
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah. So, I was I've been listening to Corbett Wall pretty regular here lately, and he's been harping on this 30% mandatory negotiated cash settlement. And it sounds to listen to him talk, it sounds like it's picking up some steam. Have you got that impression?
I'm a huge negotiated cash fan, and I hope we go back to that. Yeah, I think it is because it's got to gain some steam. The concept does. Just because, like right now, technically they don't have to negotiate cash because they have so many contracted that now
Yeah.
that they're backing the kill up so far, that really they don't have to take any negotiated cash cattle, and that kind of sucks. And how do you establish a market? So I'm a huge
Yeah.
negotiated cash fan. I mean, I'd love for it to go that way. And maybe the mandatory 30% is enough volume to establish a price. So I agree with him in so many ways in that deal. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you make it mandatory, but I'd like to see more people do it just now because maybe these formula cattle getting turned back right now, they're going to have to start trading them cash if this thing picks up in a few weeks. I mean, it could get to where the packer doesn't want any, and then they want them all once they figure out how to kill under COVID-19 precautions,
Yeah. Well, I guess like have you heard those rumblings like it's starting to like pick up steam with up in Washington?
And I haven't, but
Like
that doesn't mean it isn't because I'm focused on these moving numbers on my screen most days, and sometimes I slip on what's going on as far as up on the hill.
yeah.
I hope it
Yeah,
is
I
though,
just
McKinley. I hope it is.
I do too. I don't know how you like I said I don't know how you get to that point. I don't know how you enforce it. But yeah, I mean that's the big concept within capitalism is supply and demand, and that supply and demand creates that's price discovery. You got to have a discovery point. In a free and open market. And so with these formula sales, especially when you get to what was like 80% of the fat cattle knocked are sold on a formula basis. I don't know the exact number, but it's a huge amount. And then so the packers have so much leverage when it comes to setting the price point because they can just not buy and or just offer you whatever. It's they got way too much leverage that way, and there's not a good way out of it unless you have more cattle sold on a negotiated cash basis.
Exactly. No, exactly. And that's the whole deal. So many people are on that negotiated kind of grid or cattle pretty much locked into the packer that it's just taken the leverage out of the cash trader's hand. You get in a situation like this. Yeah, if we were trading them all cash, man, well, we'd still have some pretty good leverage because we're pretty current. If you go back to those charts that I was showing you, our kill was really, really high for this time of year going into year. I mean, we were
Yeah.
doing what we should have been doing. I'm like, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we were 30% or better cash trade, we'd have a lot better chance at holding this thing together.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I said I'm just kind of curious as what if you'd heard much of that. I do hope that that it is starting to pick up traction, and if nothing else, even if it doesn't really get passed, if it if there's a good enough threat of it going into committee, even that's enough to let those Packers. It sends them a signal where they're going to start buying more on a cash on the cash market just to combat that.
And it's not really the packer that needs to do it. It's the feedlot guy that needs to not negotiate with or not make that kind of trade, if you will. That's why I say it might be this weird scenario right now up in front of us. If these Packers back up this kill because of COVID, they might have to stop turning down their formula cattle too. Maybe let them go back, and maybe those cattle will have to come back in the market, traded on the on the cash market. That is a concept that's just like throwing shit to the wall. I'm not sure that that's even going to happen, but
yeah. No, it's an interesting thought though. I think this is it's I think this will be a pretty pivotal point in history for a bunch of different sectors, but I think it could be one for the cattle market if we play our cards right. And I don't know what those cards are. I'm that's well out of my realm of speculation. Like I can't even start to speculate on that because I'd be I'd just be talking so far out my ass it wouldn't make any sense. But I do know enough. I think this could be a very pivotal point in history. But I think the producers have got to be on the same page.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, they got to go back to just run it. I mean, what you can take care of right now as a producer is what's right in front of you. And that's producing whatever you're producing this year, even though it looks like it might not be worth it. He's still the best producer. How he produces it cost efficiently, I think still, you know what I mean? I mean, that's the only thing you can technically worry about right now and keep your pulse on what's happening in DC and other things like that. But the market's going to take care of itself. I mean, I think these are a lot of market dynamics at work because we just have so many variables to try to price in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm going to, and as far as what you're saying before, I'm going to share my screen again on this one, on this long-term front cattle chart right here. I mean, that's not the K&N, but let's just go to I'm not the best at this right here yet, Kinley, but I'm going to get good at finding out what screen to share as we go. But this is just kind of fun to look at when you look at the front month of the live cattle and you stretch it out to the max of the data set that the terminal's got. Whenever my screen, you'll see just how low we are. I mean, relatively, in 2002, we traded the front month down to 60. We've held support at this 84 and 86 for quite a long time. But I mean, these are 20, 30-year lows. I mean, and if you're buying commodities, I mean, usually those are the time to buy. I mean, now it's a little scary because all the stuff's going on, but it is at a lower level. Kind of they're cheaper to buy, buy when they're cheap. What's cheap, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like you said, it's there's opportunity there. Just how you got it's a little different scenario, but there's opportunity there if you play your cards right. So, but yeah, you gotta take care of yourself on the home front, and that's getting them cows calved out, and getting the fat steer to a plate at some point, but got to take care of those babies right now.
Yep, exactly. get him alive and out and onto green grass and see what happens next.
Yes, sir. Brandon season's underway out here. How about over there?
No, right now we're just, well, it is kind of in like the Delta area and southern Colorado and around here, kind of just getting started calving, or been in it for
Yeah.
about 30 days, I'd say. So Brandon will be full swing here in another 3 weeks, man, 3-4 weeks. So it'll be that time of year. Get people out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even heard people saying about branding protocols, like especially some of these absentee owned ranches, where people are
I've
managing it
heard
for them.
about
Like,
that.
you know what I mean? I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. I mean, now we got to think
Yeah.
about branding protocols. Shit.
There's no way you can keep a 6-foot buffer when you're flanking calves. I mean, it just you gotta have some big fucking calves if you're keeping 6 feet apart from each other.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you could run with the forks and maybe get pretty good, but yeah. I mean, I heard of people. I think the gatherings are even going to be smaller this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a couple had a gal text me and said they were delaying theirs, the ranch that she worked for, and she wondered if I'd heard of anybody else delaying, and I haven't heard of anybody just not going forward with it, but except for today, but I don't know, it'd be weird, like.
Hey,
when a Brandon gets delayed, this COVID deal is kind of a big thing. Whether it actually health wise it is or not, as far as a pandemic, but the effects of it are a big deal. Of the whole situation. Yeah,
they're
like
real.
yeah, it's there's no doubt that there's a lot of people died and everything, but whether the numbers pan out like the doom and gloom is predicted or not, the effects of the whole thing is wide reaching.
Yes, it very much is. I mean, just the consideration of what's going on, like you said, even is down to the branding pin. I mean,
yeah, it's
happening.
wild. Yeah, it's a wild time, but well, let's do this again next Friday night. I think
Sounds
that's
good, buddy.
Might as well. And thanks to Nick Gallen Loot, also a sponsor of the show. Nick Gallen Loot, he's a rawhide braider making braided rawhide Hondas. Thanks to him. Thanks to Loma Livestock and Georgie.
Thanks to you, McKinley.
You bet. Let's. You got any? We'll do a John Prine. What's your favorite John Prine song?
You caught me with my pants down here. You know what I mean?
I just thought about that, and I was like, I don't know one right off the top of my head that I like, but
I'm gonna tell you, I'm just looking some up to see if I really have, but I don't see one that I really, really know. But I know I'd like them when I listen to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'll do some listening here in a little bit.
I thought rose-colored glasses were John Prine, but I can't see where he sang that song. But
we'll find something. We'll send them out on the weekend with a little John Prine. So
absolutely.
Anyway,
absolutely.
That's your weekly market report from Loma Livestock and Burning Daylight. And George, you want to go ahead and sign us off?
Yeah, what do we say in signing up again, dude? Burning Daylight?
Move your ass.
Move your ass, suckers. We're burning daylight.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, McKinley. See you, bud.
See ya.